Get going. Hi, everyone. Thanks for jumping in on this webinar today, which is all about finding matchers. And we've got a few simple steps for you to be able to do that. And before we jump in, one thing I always like to do is offer just a deep breath. I know you all are transitioning from meetings. You've probably got another meeting right after this. So, this offer, take a deep breath in for three, two, one, drop your shoulders, sigh. Ah, thanks.
I love that you do that. I love it.
Yeah, man, it's the simple things. So, what are you going to walk away with today? We're going to give you some really simple segmentation rules for looking through your donor database and finding matchers. Then, Sal from Dataro, you're going to really help us understand some of the nuance of how to qualify and prioritize matchers. And all of this is really to help you get a head start to fund your next match. But before we jump in, I'm Pooya Pourak, co-founder and CEO of MatchNice. Our whole mission is to inspire more giving by making social donation matching easy. Salvatore Dataro, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you guys do.
Yeah, Dataro is doing prediction and propensity scoring on entire CRMs, creating more efficient, effective fundraising models. It's pretty complex stuff, but works to make it very easy just plugging in. I serve on boards, worked at nonprofits, advisory councils, et cetera, in the nonprofit space. Prior to that, was in the e-commerce space, so have kind of a 360 view of this revenue stuff that has to do with our sector. So I'm excited to share this with you all the time.
Salvatore, you're very humble. You're a legend in the space, especially with analytics and digital fundraising. So it's a privilege to have you on as part of this conversation. Appreciate you making the time.
Always.
So back to slides, looking at data, MatchNice, we surveyed over 200 fundraisers and we said, what's the biggest barrier to matching? Number one came out being difficulty finding matchers. Second one was around donor awareness, communications, right? Like how do you actually drum up interest? Third is lack of time and resources, things we will say for other webinars. But this was kind of surprising to us because in our mind, it's intuitive. Like it should be these matchers you already have relationships with. Maybe you're just not thinking about them in that way. And when we asked nonprofits, who would you prioritize as a matcher? This kind of shocked us too. Like mid-level donors, of course, like people were giving that $1 to $10,000 range, but everyday donors, people who are giving up to $1,000 a year to your organization, came out on top too, which really creates this visibility and opportunity to democratize matching. So, what
Mm.
is Match Nice, real quick on this, is we are not employer matching. Uh, that's like I work at Delta Airlines, I donate to Habitat for Humanity, Delta matches my donation. We're social matching. So, we let nonprofits turn anybody, whether it's a major donor, mid-level donor, everyday giver, corporate sponsor, a foundation putting up a grant, to put up a match directly on your website. This session is not a product pitch or a sales pitch. We're going to jump right into the actual strategy. And what do you do? Three steps. So, Sal, as we go through this, let's do a little bit of a collaborative walkthrough.
Hmm.
Two simple starting points, right? Like, look at your donor data. Has this group given in the last 3+ years? And did they give in the last 12 months, right? So we're looking for consistency and recency. Salvatore, as you're thinking about like you've got a large donor database or maybe just 100 donors that you're looking through,
Hmm.
what are some of the other levers that you might pull just to get that first filter down?
So looking at this, right? Again, not pitching. There's no demos here, but I'm looking at this from where Datar is looking at hundreds and hundreds of data points and then creating predictions and signals. But we can do that on a manual basis. Anybody, like you said, with 100 donors or 1,000 or a million. I was talking to Best Friends Animal Society. They have 5 million records, right? How do you make sense of that? So Let's look at your two and then add a couple columns here that makes that list get smaller and smaller and smaller, that all would have a higher likelihood to do a match. For example, you've got a couple here, right? Um, your two columns there, great. Uh, you're going to have a really long list. What do you have on this list, Puya?
Yeah. So if the first level of segmentation is just like, let's look at consistency and recency in giving, that's going to pare down your list by a little bit, not a lot. You want to
Right.
get a little bit more focused. So we're thinking just six little criteria that you could segment further. So has this person given every year? Have they increased their gift before? Have they been to any of your events or volunteered? Big one. Do you personally know them? Does your staff know them? Do you have a relationship with them? Do they serve on a board or committee? And make sure that they haven't given a major gift recently, right? Like you don't want to go right back to that appeal. The more boxes you check here, the more qualified they're going to become. Now, Salvatore, you've got this whole world of analytics access experience at Dataro. Let's expand a little bit further beyond just this initial criteria.
So you're going to look at some of those criteria, sure. We could add hundreds of things. We're talking about correlation, not causation, which is totally fine, right? Somebody who uses X brand of credit card is going to be more likely to buy product A, B, and C, so on and so forth. But in this context, let's look at things like, have they given an employer match, right? Now, we did talk about, we are not talking about employer matching, but guess what? Those that have done an employer match with your organization are much more likely to do a match on their next donation to their network. Why? You don't have to teach them what a match is. They know, they get the concept. I think 9 out of 10 people, Puya, and you go out there on the streets or the shopping mall or the beach or whatever, and you ask them, do you know what a donation match is? I guess, kinda, maybe, right? But the people that did the employer match, they know exactly. Oh yeah, I give, and somebody's gonna hit the same amount, right? So let's whittle that list down just a whittle bit. Um, and add the employer. I've done an employer match. Have they volunteered before? Interesting about volunteer donors, and I've learned this recently. Two organizations I talked to in one night said over half of their planned giving comes from those that volunteer with their organization. Volunteers are typically cash poor and often asset rich. They also have large networks and larger families. So if they have volunteered, there's another one. Now, if you get somebody who's done an employer match and has done a P2P with you and has done volunteering, that's like the hat trick. Like you win. Sevens across the board. Yeah, I'm sure you go to them and say, would you like to do a social match? What's a social match? Well, it's the same thing you've done. I don't got to teach you what matching is, but this is just you're going to match your network. Um, so those are three things that can create a much shorter list. And then you take one of those out at a time as you need to get a few more prospects. If your list is small enough, call them up, shoot them a text, send an email, right? You can do the math, but don't, if it's a short list, if you're below 50, don't send a mass email. You've got 50, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours of shooting some texts out, and you can get a lot more traction with that personal touch on that. So those are three there. Do we keep going, Puya? Do you want me to talk about social and all that, or we want to save that for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to build a little bit on what you're saying. We've got the time to expand
Okay.
on all of this. The question about going up to donors and saying, "What's the first thing you think of?" We actually surveyed nonprofits and asked them, "What's the first thing you think of when you hear match?" Half
Yeah.
of them actually said employer matching, and there's a reason for that.
Hmm.
Employer matching's been around since 1954, with
Sure.
GE being the first one. Only like less than a third are thinking about actually using their donor database to turn their existing supporters into matchers. So this
Huge.
is that. Now, like there's not a conflict between employer matching and social matching either. Like we've had really cool cases where someone put up a match or had their donation matched through MatchNice, but then also had their employer match it as well. So now you've
Triple the
yeah,
buck.
now you've tripled it exactly. Um, but I think part of the power of matching as well, Salvatore, is expanding it to to the matchers network, right? There's this
Right.
network effect that happens, and it's such an easy appeal for people to make to say, hey, I put up 1,000, 10,000, whatever that number is.
Hmm.
Will you join me? Instead of just saying, hey, please donate to this cause. So as you all are looking at some of these social qualifiers at Dataro, what are some of those big signals that you look at?
All the things that we're talking about there, the RFM, the individual donor information, their engagement behavior, how often do they visit the website, how often do they open emails, do they click, which channels do they give through, where do they respond through? So there's hundreds of those. So we've talked about a couple that you can add to then, basically strengthen the signal, right, of who would do a social match. We added volunteer, we added employer, we added P2P participation. What else can you look at? If you get a manageable enough list, and I'm sure there's some tools we can use to do this as well. Look at social reach, social media reach of, and you can do this manually if you have a short enough list to further qualify. But if you're looking at social reach, you're looking at those that have high um, high propensity, high reach, 5,000 or more followers or connections on Instagram, etc. They're going to be vain. Let's say it right, and they're going to. And I'll put myself like I put LinkedIn stuff. If I don't get a click, I'm like, what? Why? I'm deleting the post, right? I'm gonna be there. I'm there, guys. Like, but those are also people that would do a match because they're going to say, hey, I'm going to virtue signal. I want my network to see that I'm doing good. I've got a network. Give them a reason to use it and to look good in their network. So look at those that have over 500 followers on Instagram or whatever it might be. Higher the better, obviously. You can add that as another thing when you have that shorter list. Say, you know what? Let me look at the top 10 and see who's got social media reach and go there. So those are things. Now, when you're using propensity modeling and you're looking at scoring at scale, you're looking at all of these things, and each of these is getting a weighting, right? They're going to say, well, this is worth X points on the scale, and this other thing is worth X plus. So we're going to do a little bit of this manually here so it's accessible to anyone. But then you also have um, negative detractors. Now, if you want to add a column to this spreadsheet or two and add, have they given through DAF? Yes or no? Have they requested anonymity? And you and I were just talking about this and a slight battle of the wits between you and I. But when they request anonymity, and you mentioned, well, Match Nice has, I want to do an anonymous match. Right. But I'm sure those folks, if they gave before and wanted to remain anonymous, unless it's purely altruistic, then they're likely not going to be as likely to do a match as somebody who has 2,000 Instagram followers and donated before and or did an employer match, right? So did they request anonymity on a prior one? They said, like, I gave you 5,000 bucks. I don't want to be in your annual report. Don't mention me. I just want to give you the money, and I don't want the fanfare or other people coming asking me for money. Those are not the people that you want to prioritize. That would be a negative detractor, usually, if it falls below the 50% mark of probability. And the second, and then we talked about DAF for a second. DAF is booming. DAF is great. DAF is awesome. DAF donors are statistically not likely to be the highest or the most likely to do a match. It's a slow lag time. They don't have access to the funds immediately. The money's tied up. It just adds a lot of complexity. So if it's DAF, might as well take them off the list. If they request an anonymity, might as well take them off the list. Prioritize the others on the list that did an employer match or did a volunteering session with your organization, etc. So you can create that spreadsheet. Now you got a lot of columns. You can start filtering them out and creating a shorter list that you can then reach out to personally or in a curated way, which I think we'll talk about a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the DAF piece is interesting because it's so untapped. There's not any kind of real muscle memory around using a DAF to put up a match. To your
Right.
point, Salvatore, there is that added complexity and overhead as a nonprofit fundraiser and leader in actually securing those funds and then providing that level of attribution to that gift. The other opportunity here, I know we're saying donors here, but corporate sponsors as well. If you're already getting some kind of grant or support from a corporate sponsor, why not use that as a match? Not only does that amplify the gifts for your organization, but going back to the virtue signaling, I would want my business to kind of be the headline to say, hey, Maytag is putting up this match for this
Sure.
organization or Joe's Pizza Shop. And what's interesting from some trust research that we've done with the Nonprofit Alliance is that smaller business matches, smaller businesses donating, those affiliations actually boost trust for your organization more than any other type of business. So
Yep.
great opportunity there. And again, it gives you that network for that organization's employees, supporters to jump in as part of that movement of giving.
I love seeing this as something on the menu of options for your corporate partnerships and corporate and philanthropy team or resource internally to develop. Like you can just give us a cash gift, sponsor our gala, buy a table, or check out this option. We're going to put a banner on our website and we're going to match in real time and give you some brand exposure. That works at scale if you're a Boys and Girls Club of America and you've got a big brand, or it works on a local community level if you are a small organization and Joe's Pizza Shop on Sixth Street is going to want to sponsor and give you $500 to do a match, right? $500, that's 20, 30 donations. They get to promote it. They get to put it on their website. Again, virtue signal, like you're giving them an opportunity to be involved and get some extra value out of it. So add it to the menu of options for corporate for sure. And I think
Yeah,
and you do it, and a lot of corporate matching happens. Sorry to jump back in.
no,
A
you're
lot of
good.
corporate matching happens, right? I was at Child Mind Institute. We would do a $25,000 match over the holidays with Bloomingdale's. And it was just a static banner. It said Bloomingdale's is matching. Wasn't engaging. It was nice to know. I don't know how much it gamified or moved the needle for donors, or increased their likelihood to give. I'm sure it did a bit. But if I saw a banner there and I donated and it showed that I was the last person and I have a timer countdown, now we're tapping into the modern human triggers of gamification and visual and all that.
Yeah, there's a ton of psychology that goes into an effective match. And gosh, that should be a whole nother webinar. But uh, Salvatore, we got a question from Jared for you. He's mentioning that you mentioned some of the tools to see social followers, capital, like the number of followers. Jared says they're using Virtuous as their CRM. Any tools that come to mind to help mine who those donors are with larger followings?
It's a hard one. There are specific tools out there where you can basically plug in your accounts and rank them. Now, the tough spot and what makes this somewhat manual, unless you're paying big bucks, is that often the identity and the email address and the social profile aren't matched. So unless they're already following your page, you can use tools like Sprout Social and other things like that that will connect your page and then connect to any lists or databases, and you'll be able to pull in some relevance there. So look at Sprout Social, I believe, does that, and it lets you see who your most influential followers are to your page. Otherwise, it might literally be, I mean, if I come across somebody I've never met and I want to Google them and figure out, what they're doing, or if I'm hiring somebody and I want to know kind of, what kind of person is this that I'm hiring, you can find their social profile in 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So if you get a good list that's curated of potential matchers, you can then maybe spend a few more minutes on those that rank highest for you, meet most of your criteria, and look them up manually. So, but Jared, yeah, I'll recommend Sprout Social to check that out, and I'll think of some other tools that might be out there. But usually, they're going to have a price tag on them that's not always friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate the question there. And as you can tell from this conversation, there is an infinite level of granularity that you can go to. But what we have on this slide is really just a great starting point. You can get more and more sophisticated and more focused in terms of who the right qualified donors are. Now, Salvatore, we've gone from this initial list to now we've segmented it down. Maybe we're at 100, maybe we're at 10. The next thing is like, how do you actually make the appeal, right? What we're suggesting and what we're seeing be most successful in the matching campaigns that we've run is for your mid-level, for your major, for your corporate sponsors, don't just send an email, right? Share a case statement. Like, what is your case for support? What is
right.
the outcome that you're looking to drive? What will these dollars unlock for your organization? Share that in an email, but also offer the time to chat. Like you want to leave that door open for that personal communication and then follow up. If you don't get that response, send that follow up. If you do get the response, also send the follow up to say, hey, thanks to your support and this many others, or just your support, we're now in a position to actually launch this match. And we're going to provide you progress updates in terms of how many people we've inspired, and also, if you're open to it, we're going to spotlight your organization as part of our campaign communications as well. Salvatore, from a Dataro analytics lens, I'm curious to hear what you're seeing on the ground in terms of personalization of appeals. So if we've narrowed our segment of donors down to, let's just say, for ease of math, 10 individuals. What are some of the other pieces that you might consider as part of the personalization of those appeals?
Channel, right? Personalization is beyond, obviously, and this is a horse that's been dead for a while, but it's beyond just saying first name and using, their individual information. It's getting to know them personally and what they expect, how they like to be communicated with, etc. Um, so do you want me to send you a letter in the mail, or do you want me to shoot you a text? Me, text all day. I check my mailbox once every 2, 3 weeks. Like you're not going to get me on my mailbox. So that's personalization if you know that. Dataro, for example, will look at giving history, engagement behavior patterns, and recommend the channel that they want to be communicated with on. And you can do a rudimentary version of that if you are just looking at like the last method that they made a gift. Did they do it online? Did they mail you a check? Did they respond to a text message, etc.? If you have the UTMs and you're tracking stuff that closely. So channel is one that I would think is a strong personalization measure. Um, I think that one is probably one of the most powerful ones that gets overlooked.
Yeah, well, one of our advisors, Lisa Greer, always says, ask your donors how they want to be communicated with
Correct.
and respect that. So if you don't have that information, could be a great opportunity to also send a quick survey. How can we best get in touch with you? Now, this is the segment of people who are putting up and helping fund, that 1, 2 matching gifts that help you get to that goal, right? The larger chunks. One of the things that we're focused on at MatchNice is democratizing that. So your everyday givers who are giving, $1,000, and I've got the arrow there backwards, $1,000 or less. Make it really easy. So for this segment, you could send an email, a text message. You have a social media post with a link for them to put that match up in real time for your website. Now,
Hmm.
the segmentation here is still super important. You don't want to be the organization that sends everybody a matching appeal and then 3 weeks later send everybody the notice that says this match is live, right? You do want to create that segmentation between who you want to ask for a match and who you want to propose the matching opportunity to.
I would even add in here age as a factor in your communication style
Mm,
when you're reaching out. And this goes for anything, right? And you have it here kind of. You have your mid-level, your major, your corporate, offer a case statement, time to chat, etc. Um, everyday givers also, but your everyday donor that is 25 years old, which is a growing segment of donors, right? The younger generations, the wealth transfer that's happening, etc. Um, they're going to be totally receptive, dude, to messages with emojis, right?
yeah.
But 55, 65, 70, not maybe as much. You might kind of like, what is this, a scam? Right? I'll use emojis when I text my grandkids, but I'm not going to necessarily take it with gravitas and sincerity if you text me with emojis and thumbs ups and
Yeah.
smiley faces when you ask me to do a match or to give at all. So I know we don't always have the age of our donors. Dataro uses age inference technology, so we're going to look at patterns. What kind of credit card, what's the region, zip code, other behaviors and indicators that can give us an idea, even name. I mean, there's strong correlation in first names
Mm.
and age. Like certain names were popular a decade ago that are
Yeah.
not popular
Right.
now, and so on. So that's the kind of stuff that it can be done. Um, but yeah.
Well, we've just got about a minute and a half, so I'm going to fly through just some really quick points. I don't think anyone has perfect data. And when we talk to organizations that don't know where to start, it's simple questions. Who gives to your organization every year? Who can you count on showing up? And who actually picks up your phone call? If you know Sally gives you $5,000 every Giving Tuesday, maybe ask her to put up the match. Also,
Hmm.
think about your board members. No board that I've known or talked to or nonprofits about their board love to fundraise. You could ask your board to pool their gifts, their annual commitments as a match. And the
Why not?
yeah, and the other really innovative approach that we're piloting right now is asking your monthly donors to opt in or opt out of their next monthly gift contributing to and funding a match. So there's a
Huge.
lot of different ways to actually get your match funded. At MatchNice, we've got this ABC matching method. We've got case statements that we help organizations build. We've got the tools to make it really easy. And then, of course, like the communication is really important. If you're interested in learning more, if you just want to chat with us, like we're not super salesy, just reach out to us, go on our website. I'll drop my email. We'll follow up. Salvatore, closing
Yeah.
thoughts. I know we're just that time.
Quick closing thought on the board member thing. Like, that's huge. Instead of asking them if we can use their annual gift as a match, is it too presumptuous? And anybody here that has thoughts on this in the chat, please share. Is it too presumptuous to default that to your as a board member, your gift will be used as a match and let them choose if they want it as anonymous or not, and then give them the opt out if they need to. But I don't see why, having been on a couple of boards and about to join another one next month, I don't see why any would say, no, do not use my
Yeah,
match
I don't want
my
my
gift
gift
for
to
a
go
match.
further.
And at the highest level, they might say, well, can you do it anonymously? Okay, but you're still on the board page of the website, um, whatever. But sure, we'll cater to that. But is that too presumptuous to ask board members or just kind of state that, hey, going forward, unless you opt out, your gift will be used for a match?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm happy to see that most people are still on the line. I'm cool to keep talking for just a little bit longer. If you have to drop, thank you for joining. If you can stay on, probably keep this for another few minutes. On the board match, I was, at the Elevate conference in Portland, 200 people in the room. I asked how many board members love to fundraise. Zero hands went up. And then the reframe was, well, if your board put up a match, and just put yourself in the shoes of a board member for a second. How much easier is that appeal to your network
Whoa.
when you say, hey, me and my board put up this amount? Again, not please donate. Like, will you join this movement? Every dollar you give is going to be multiplied. It completely changes the psychology of the appeal and the ask
Yeah.
and boosts like the confidence and just the comfortability of someone, especially board members, reaching out to that spreadsheet of networks that you're constantly trying to get them to reach out to.
I don't know what makes it so much more palatable, but when I've been on boards and they go, "Hey, can you go through your LinkedIn and find the people most likely to give?" I'm just like, "Oh, I gotta email them and kind of figure out who's most likely to give." Now, guess what's way easier? Just like you said, "Hey, I'm making my annual gift as a board member. I'm gonna run a match." Now I don't have to go to who's most likely to give to that kind of org. I just have to go to who's most likely to join me. Who do I have a
Exactly.
closest relationship with? And that's powerful. I'm going to use that on the next adventure I go on here.
Yeah, and when we look at the data from the case studies of matches that we've done, we've had situations where a quarter of the donations come from brand new first-time givers,
Hmm.
and the other quarter, like half, is coming from individuals who hadn't given in 1.5 to 4+ years. So we know matching has that network effect and ability. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you for joining. Definitely check out Dataro as well. Salvatore, any plugs you want to give on that side?
Not at all. Like
Okay.
if you want to talk more about it, let's talk. If
Yeah,
not, you
just
got your
reach
things to
out.
do. Yeah. And
We
by the way, like everybody here, like, don't you got a meeting to get to? Like it's
yeah, with
1:33. I mean, I love that you're here. I'm like, is Zoom broken? I got a meeting to get to soon. So
yeah.
we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, as you can tell, we are just people and we love to help missions like yours. So thank you for taking the time. Hope this was helpful. If you join, we'll follow up with a link to the presentation so that you can use this and then reach out to Salvatore, reach out to me. We are here to support. Thank you all
Awesome.
very much. Salvatore, thank you, man. Appreciate you taking the
Always.
time.
See everyone.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.